Suddenly, one of the rivals broke through their lines, a massive female with fierce resolve. She lunged for Hunter, but Ulani stepped in, a bark of warning escaping her lips as she redirected the attack. Scarface, catching sight of Hunter's fur bristling with dread, launched himself into action again, landing a heavy blow against the chaotic whirlwind enveloping them. "We're not just surviving, we're fighting for our legacy," he declared, intensity shimmering in his voice. The battle raged on like a tempest, scarred allies and foes intermixed in the relentless rhythm of conflict. They were united not just by blood, but by this moment of truth, all weaving together in the urgency of survival. Breathing heavily, Scarface paused for a fleeting moment, catching sight of the gathering storm of the rival pride. This was no longer just a fight, it was their stand, their decision, their brother's blood running hot through the grass at their feet. This was it. They would reclaim their territory, or fall together. Together! Scarface bellowed once more, the rallying cry igniting the determination in their hearts. The onslaught pressed forward, an amalgam of muscle and fury surging toward a destiny awaiting them on the horizon. Scene 21. Echoes of the past. The cool dusk air settled over the Maasai Mara, whispering through the tall grasses. Scarface, with his mahogany coat now flecked with golden hues from the sun, crouched low, his body resting against a gnarled tree. He focused intently on a gathering of leaves, turning them over with a deft paw to reveal the scent of new life beneath. A small beetle scurried away, its frantic movements mimicking his thoughts. "It's only a beetle," Ulani Mwanga observed, her voice light yet charged with warmth. She stepped forward, her sleek figure framed against the soft purple sky. "Why do you always insist on playing with such tiny creatures?" Scarface straightened, shaking off his moment of reflection. "Because they're survivors, Ulani. They represent what we've been through. Look at their determination." Her eyes scanned the tree line, where shadows slinked past. And yet, sometimes survival means knowing when to let go. She tilted her head, revealing a vulnerability that flickered in her gaze. "Do you ever think about why we fight?" "Every day," Scarface admitted, a flicker in his brow. Memories of battle flooded him. The sharp claws and roaring teeth of their enemies, the ache of loss. "I fight so I don't lose any more family. You know that." Nearby, Sikio and Hunter emerged from the brush, dragging a tuft of grass, their playful grunts lightening the mood. "Look what we found!" Sikio grinned, showcasing a half-torn piece of a discarded cape, perhaps a trophy from one of their latest scuffles. "More like a fashion disaster," Hunter chimed, chuckling as he pawed at the fabric. "At least it wasn't a lion we got this from." Sikio's laughter echoed, infectious and bright, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. "Maybe we should start a new trend cape fashion for lions." Ulani rolled her eyes, but her smile was undeniable. "Next, it'll be lion accessories. I can already see the hippos rolling their eyes." "But what if we make this an annual thing?" Hunter interjected, swept up in the spirit of camaraderie. "We could call it a return to roots, a celebration of every battle fought and won." Scarface felt the weight of their words pressing against him. He observed his brothers, their faces alight with the thrill of joy in light of past struggles. "How about we celebrate our mother?" Ulani suggested softly, her tone shifting to somber. "What would she think of us?" The laughter faded, swallowed by the gnarled branches overhead. Scarface's throat tightened. "She would want us to remember who we are, to be strong, to honor our territory." Sikio nudged Scarface gently, his voice low. "And she would want us to revel in our victories, not just in fights, but in every moment like now." "Right," Scarface replied, his voice steadying. "Then let's remember her." He inhaled deeply, allowing the fragrant air of wildflowers and earth to fill his lungs. "In every battle, we carry her spirit. Let's keep fighting, not just for survival, but to thrive." As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows along the savannah, Scarface felt an unexpected swell of emotion. It was in the way Ulani's laughter intermingled with the distant calls of night creatures, the comfort of his brothers beside him. "Let's make it loud," Hunter declared, standing tall, a glimmer of mischief in his eyes. "A roar for our mother." The brothers gathered, their shoulders brushing, and with one deep inhale, all four lifted their voices, a powerful symphony that resonated through the plains. The sound echoed a call, a celebration, a mourning, and a triumph, all entwined in one moment. As their roars faded, the air settled, vibrating with the remnants of their voices. Scarface's heart pounded with recognition. We are not defined by what we've lost, but by what we protect. Ulani nodded, her gaze unwavering. Together we'll reshape our legacy. And in that quiet, sprawling wilderness, as the stars began to dance overhead, the brothers stood united, ready to face whatever trials may come, as echoes of the past lingered sweetly in the air. Scene 22. A new challenge. The sun hung low over the Maasai Mara, draping the landscape in a warm amber glow. Scarface faced his brothers, a faint breeze ruffling his mane as he settled into a crouch. He glanced at Sikio. "What's more dangerous, the beasts that hunt us or the ones that hide?" Sikio's tail lashed behind him, his brow furrowing. "It's the ones that think they're invisible, Scar. They're the real threat." Hunter, who had been sharpening his claws on a nearby acacia, paused to listen, his ears perked. "You know, that sounds a lot like our last encounter with the hyenas." His tone was light, but the tension in his body belied the humor. "Enough banter. We can't be complacent," Scarface barked, shaking off the heat of the day like a lion shedding the burdens of their past. His eyes locked onto Marani, who was stretching gracefully, flicking his gaze from Scarface to the surrounding grasslands. "Complacency is a luxury we can't afford, Scarface. The elders say danger is always closer than we think," Marani replied, his slight smirk vanishing as he straightened. Scarface held his ground, the conviction in his voice layered with shadows of doubt. "Then let's push ourselves. Work harder. Train stronger." Ulani Mwanga, perched upon a rock a distance away, watched intently. Her body mirrored the tension around her, shoulders taut and ears flicked forward, her sharp eyes taking in every nuance of their brotherly dynamics. A gust swirled around her, carrying the scent of fresh earth and impending storms. She felt the weight of the moment. These brothers were teetering on the edge of something precarious. Scarface lunged abruptly. The sunlight glinted off his fur as he charged toward the tall grass, racing into the wilderness, as if chasing a phantom. The others followed, the air thick with the musk of adrenaline and determination. "Come on, slow pokes," Scarface roared, encouraging their intense camaraderie. "Last one to the rocks is a scaredy cat." Sikio shot back, racing ahead. A surge of competitive energy electrified them, pushing their paws to the ground with urgency. Scarface sprinted, leading the pack, his heart thrumming. But the sound of leaves rustling caught his attention. Instinct told him something was off. "Wait!" Scarface halted, raising his head. The brothers skidded to a stop behind him, confusion clouding their faces. "What's wrong?" Hunter asked, a hint of unease creeping into his voice. "Listen," Scarface whispered, his body coiling with tension. The gentle rustle turned into a low growl, menacing and distant. "Hyenas," Marani hissed, eyes suddenly sharp with clarity. They exchanged looks, the thrill of training melting away to reveal a seriousness that hung heavy in the air. "We should head back," Sikio urged, his voice barely above a whisper. "No." Scarface stood firm, the resolve igniting within him. "We can't run. We should prepare." "But if they find us," Ulani interjected, her mind racing through the possibilities. She cared deeply for them, fearing the dark twists their lives could take. Scarface turned, his gaze lingering on her. It's better to confront danger head-on than hide in fear. Every muscle in Ulani's body tightened. "I'm not afraid of confrontation, Scar. I just sense the scope of what's ahead." Her voice wavered, laden with the weight of her wilderness wisdom. Marani stepped forward, his voice softening. "Then let's train again, harder. For every hyena lurking, we'll double our efforts." With that, the brothers regrouped, determination fueling their movements. Scarface called them into position, demonstrating fierce swipes and counterattacks. They practiced, paws striking with vigor, a symphony of roars and growls harmonizing like a battle hymn. As they mauled the air, a distant rumble echoed across the plains. The grass swayed like an ocean beneath the sunset's fiery waves. Ulani watched, an unsettling feeling gnawing at her insides. Everything was shifting. The winds whispered secrets, and she sensed an unseen challenge approaching, unfurling just beyond the horizon of their tightly knit brotherhood. In that moment, a sudden thought struck Scarface as he watched Ulani's troubled gaze. Could Brotherhood withstand the shadows lurking in the wild? "Let's be fierce," he barked, summoning every ounce of leadership within him, but the question lingered, heavy and unwelcome. Scene 23, Hunger and Desperation. The searing sun hung low in the late afternoon sky, casting long shadows over the parched earth. Scarface stared out over the golden plains, his nostrils flaring as he caught the faint scent of something familiar. "How much longer can we endure this?" he growled, his eyes scanning the horizon. Beside him, Sikio licked a paw, a distracted sort of furrow deepening his brow. "We can't wait any longer, Scar. The herd isn't coming this way, not with the drought." Marani shifted with an annoyed huff. "And if we leave our territory unguarded, we risk losing more than just our pride." His fur bristled at the thought of danger. "I can't eat pride," Scarface snapped, his voice jagged. The tension in the air was palpable, as if a storm were brewing. The words hung over them, simmering in the heat of desperation. Hunter, lounging nearby, let out a chuckle laced with bitterness. "I don't remember a day when we had to paw our way through hunger like this." "It's not just hunger," Ulani Mwanga interjected, approaching with a somber expression. "It's survival. If we don't venture out, we might lose everything." Marani rolled his eyes, stepping closer to Scarface. "Your idea of everything is starting to look a lot like doom." Silence enveloped them for a moment, broken only by the low rustle of the wind through the savanna grasses. Ulani's eyes flicked between the brothers, the tension knotting in her stomach. "We can't ignore our need to adapt. The land isn't the same, don't you see? It's changing." Scarface turned, meeting her gaze. "We can't afford to be on the run, Ulani. There are dangers out there, leopards, crocodiles." He paused, swallowing the fear of losing her. "We can't lose anyone else." Sikio stepped forward, brow knitted. "You think it's safer to starve? We need to be smart about this. We can pick our fights." "We can't pick fights if we're only left with scraps," Scarface shot back, his voice echoing off the nearby boulders, the impending confrontation crackling in the air. Suddenly, an echoing laugh pierced the gathering cloud of tension nearby. It was Juma, a nearby hyena matriarch, lurking just outside their territory. "Look at you, mighty lions, quarreling over words, when there's a whole field of opportunities waiting," she cackled, trotting closer with a slick, unsettling smile. Marani snarled softly, his posture shifting defensively. "You dare speak here?" Juma shrugged, her eyes glinting with mischief. "I dare because I know where you stand. You're withering away, brothers. You've lost the pulse of this land." Scarface met Juma's gaze, composure slowly returning. "We're stronger than we've ever been. You should remember that." Juma's laughter faded, replaced by a sly smirk. "You need a plan, lion. Pride won't hold off hunger." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Scarface inhaled deeply, his resolve hardening. "We need water too, not just prey. The wind is shifting. We have to follow it." "Follow? To where?" Marani's voice edged on resentment. "I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. Together." Scarface's voice softened. The tension that had built around them slowly unraveled like a tense cord being released. Ulani stepped in closer, sensing the change. "Together, then, we'll solve this." A heavy understanding settled among them, each brother exchanging reluctant glances, the desire for unity flickering like the last rays of fading sunlight. "But if we fail?" Sikio spoke, the threat in his voice palpable. "We won't," Scarface affirmed, a promise wrapped in his tone. "We're brothers. We face this together or not at all." The weight of his words hung in the air. They were no longer individuals caught in despair, but a united front reluctantly bound by blood and survival. As the curtain of night descended, hiding their weariness, Scarface turned back to the vast wilderness, embarking on a path unknown, but driven by loyalty. "Let's move." Scene 24. The mysterious stranger. The dense grasses of the Maasai Mara swayed gently in the evening breeze, catching the golden hues of the setting sun. Scarface stood near the edge of their territory, his amber eyes surveying the horizon. The tension in the air felt palpable, and he glimpsed the distant silhouette of an approaching figure. "What if he's a scout for the Maasai pride?" Ulani Mwanga whispered, her voice tinged with concern. She flicked her tail, a nervous gesture. "We can't trust anyone these days." Marani, the most loyal yet cautious of the brothers, narrowed his eyes. "Sometimes trust comes in the strangest packages. We should hear him out." He stepped forward, the muscles in his shoulders taut beneath his tawny coat. Hunter, the youngest, tilted his head. "But what if he's a threat? Have you forgotten our last encounter? That rogue nearly took your ear off." Or maybe Scarface is just overreacting, Sikio interjected with a wry grin, trying to lighten the air. After all, didn't you once scare away a crocodile merely by sneezing? He paused, chuckling softly. We can't let fear dominate our instincts. Scarface exhaled sharply, his gaze fixed on the stranger. He felt the weight of their eyes, the unspoken burden resting on his shoulders. He had spent too long holding the fear of losing them, memories of their mother flooding his mind like a flash flood that couldn't be contained. Friends, focus. We must assess the situation first. The lone lion approached, head high, yet with an unusual wariness. His coal-black mane danced in the wind, casting shadows over his piercing blue eyes. As he neared, the brothers shifted, their bodies tensing. Each of them radiated a potent mix of curiosity and caution. "Is this what your home has come to?" the stranger called, his voice a strange blend of authority and weariness. A pack of misfits debating the merits of a guest? He halted a few paces away, assessing the group. His brave posture contrasted with the caution evident in his eyes. Scarface took a confident step forward, commanding the scene. "State your purpose. We don't take kindly to trespassers." His voice dripped with unyielding authority, his body language conveying both challenge and security. His brothers flanked him, creating an impenetrable wall. The stranger arched an eyebrow. "I come seeking refuge, not conflict." His jaw clenched slightly, revealing his uncertainty. "You may not know me, but I am Amari, a veteran of survival in these lands. A few hyenas have caught my scent." He let the last words hang in the air. At that moment, the scattered scents of the savannah, the earthy musk of clover, and the distant, sharp tang of sweat from those who had hunted before, swirled in the warm evening. One could almost taste the tension and feel the frayed edges of loyalty and suspicion. "What proof do you have?" Marani retorted, ears perked high. "We don't require starving lions in our territory. You should have thought twice." Amari squared his shoulders, the sun casting elongated shadows on his form. "Starvation is not a choice, my friend. It's a fate enforced by forces we cannot control. If you cast me away, you invite more danger." His tone was steady, yet a flicker of desperation shone through. Ulani moved to Scarface's side, her piercing gaze softening as she spoke. "He's right. Ignoring his plea may lead us to a greater foe. Have we not learned enough from our past?" "Friendship is a risk," Scarface replied, considering her point. His eyes remained fixed on Amari, weighing the balance of pride and vulnerability. The weight of both past and impending battles loomed in the air, a reminder of what had already been lost and what could still be found. Hunter's youthful exuberance broke through the tension. "Or maybe we just need to throw him a welcome feast. Look at him. He could use a good meal." He chuckled, attempting to ease the strain. A low growl echoed from the brush nearby, a reminder that the circle of life was relentless and unforgiving. The brothers snapped to attention, instinctively lowering their bodies, ready for an attack. Amari's blue-eyed gaze flicked to the source of the sound. "Hyenas," he warned, his voice suddenly heavy with urgency. "They're closer than you think." Scarface's heart raced, adrenaline surging through him. What will it be then? Friend or foe? Choose quickly. The looming threat in the distance calibrated their instinct to protect. "Survival often comes with the price of trust," Amari said softly, an oath bound by desperation yet illuminated by the wisdom of experience. In that moment, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the savannah into twilight, shrouding their faces in shadow and uncertainty. The choice weighed heavily upon Scarface, echoing through the swirling grasslands, who among them would stand and fight, and who would betray. Scene 25. Conflict within. In the dappled light of the Maasai Mara, the grass swayed gently, whispering tales of the land, but it held an unsettling quiet today. The sun cast a fiery glow, where each blade glimmered like the sparks of a simmering feud. Scarface sat atop a small mound, surveying the sprawling plains, his shoulder muscles taut and ready, while beneath him the weight of leadership began to settle heavily. Although each breath was laced with determination, there was an unsettling feeling in the air, a current of dissent that threatened his authority. Marani paced nearby, his claws digging into earth, throwing up small tufts of grass. His round, golden eyes flicked nervously from Scarface to the horizon. The unease in his body was palpable. "You think you're invincible, don't you?" He flicked his tail as if to punctuate his thoughts. Scarface turned, a growl simmering in his throat, but he swallowed it. I just want to protect us, Marani, he said slowly, fighting the rising irritation. The territory is dangerous, and we need unity. Marani snorted, the sound harsh and bitter. Unity is only good when it doesn't come at the expense of each other's spirits. He aimed a hardened gaze at Scarface, the challenge unmistakable. There was a silence that wrapped around them, thick and expectant, filled with the ghosts of arguments left unsaid. Ulani Mwanga approached quietly from the fringe of the pride, her emerald gaze darting between the brothers. Marani, you're not being fair, she said softly, her voice a gentle counterpoint to the electric tension. It's not about Scarface's strength, it's about survival. We need to stand together. Stand together? Marani cut in, a sharp edge to his tone. Or stand behind a leader who doesn't see us. He gestured wildly, letting his frustration spill over. He's already outgrown us, and you don't see it. Ulani's ears perked as her expression hardened. We can't afford division. Are you willing to risk everything because of pride? As their voices rose, drawn to a crescendo, the air became thick with anticipation, the bushes subtly rustling around them as the beasts of the grasslands paused, sensing the brewing storm. The atmosphere shifted as Hunter, the eldest brother, ambled closer, his muscled frame cutting an imposing figure. Enough. The single word held weight, like an anchor tossed into troubled waters. We're brothers, beasts of the same blood. Don't let your anger jeopardize our family. But what if this family is leading us to our demise? Marani shot back, his frustration splattering against the ground like spilled rain. What if these choices break us? Scarface's eyes narrowed, cracked with conflict. The weight of Marani's words was a bitter taste in the mouth. We have to be strong, not just for ourselves, but because if we lose this land... His voice trailed, each syllable edging toward the unspeakable fear lurking just beneath the surface. We lose everything, echoed Hunter as he stepped between them, a lion unyielding yet filled with unease. Silence washed over them for a heartbeat, the wildlife hushed, anticipating the inevitable fallout. Ulani broke through the tension with a softer approach. Marani, we need to rely on each other, not just tear each other down. Just look how far we've come. But Marani's brow remained furrowed. Look how far Scarface has come, he retorted. While we what? Scarface's roar snapped through the air, rich and powerful as the storm clouds gathered on the horizon. The weight of the moment hung there, everything poised on the edge of fracture and fear. While we fade, I lost a mother to the unforgiving wilderness. Don't you dare question my intent. The brothers stared, breaths held as the hills echoed with unspoken words. The tension knitted tightly between them, like sinewy muscles primed for combat. The surrounding grass trembled as a group of Cape buffalo emerged, their horns sharp and threatening, barely perceiving the brewing conflict within the pride. Ulani's eyes widened. Instinctively, they gained all awareness of their surroundings, the new threat making the argument seem trivial. Sikio, the ever-observant sibling, shifted his weight, glancing at Scarface. We can settle this later. We need to focus on what's out there. His voice hung in the air like a cautionary tale, grounding the tumultuous atmosphere. Marani's face twisted, surrendering to the immediate threat, but the underlying fracture remained. Just remember, he hissed quietly, meeting Scarface's gaze with fierce intensity. That unity doesn't just mean following you blindly. And as the wind howled through the grasslands, the reality weighed heavy. The battle for their survival was just beginning. Scene 26. Unforeseen allies. The sun dipped low in the golden savanna, casting elongated shadows over the tall grass. A soft breeze rustled through the tufts, carrying with it the distant sense of earth and approaching danger. Scarface stood in a tight circle with Sikio, Marani, and Ulani, their bodies tense and watchful as they faced a group of zebra gathered nervously before them. Are you sure we can trust them? Sikio asked, his eyes darting toward the nervously shifting herbivores. You know predators might turn on us as easily as the lions. Ulani, always the more thoughtful one, responded, If we can protect each other, isn't that worth the risk? Her voice held a calmness that belied the tension surrounding them. Trust? What is it but a gamble? Scarface mused, his expression brooding yet full of fire. But we have no choice. Zarius and his pack are on the hunt. They won't stop until they crush anyone in their path. The lead zebra stepped forward, his mane gleaming like polished ivory in the fading light. We didn't come here with blind faith. Our young are threatened, as are your brothers. Together we can repel these marauders. A weight hung between them, heavy like the impending night. For a moment, silence filled the air, stretching taut with unspoken concerns. "Why should we believe you?" Marani interjected, his tone sharper than a thorn. "You could just lead us into a trap." "You think we're foolish?" The zebra leader shot back, his nostrils flaring. "Foolish enough to put our lives at stake for mere words? We've endured direct threats from Xarius. We face the same death." Scarface stepped forward, shoulders squared, his deep, rich timbre resonating like thunder. "Then we have a shared enemy. No matter the cost, we will stand together." The zebras exchanged glances, their trust wavering, yet the impending danger loomed larger than any mistrust. Cutting through the rising tension, a roar shattered the air, shaking loose leaves from the trees. The ground trembled underfoot as Xarius emerged from the brush, flanked by his vicious pack. A hulking mass of muscle, his eyes glinted with malevolence, ready for blood. With the predator looming large, Scarface turned back to the zebra. "Now, we fight together!" The unexpected alliance surged into action, a whirlwind of maneuvers and quick decisions. Scarface lunged first, his massive paws skimming over the soft earth as he tackled a smaller lion with a fierce growl. The lion jerked in surprise, a flash of fear crossing his eyes before Scarface sank his teeth in, growling fiercely. "Behind you!" Ulani shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Marani sprang into action, sidestepping and swinging around to intercept another foe, just as he lunged for Ulani. Their bodies collided, fur flying, teeth gnashing. Sikio joined them, his agility unmatched as he darted between zebras and lions alike, helping redirect the powerful energy into focus. In the fray, the zebras stomped their hooves, creating a cacophony of sound that startled the enemies, driving them back. One zebra, defiantly stepping forward, kicked a lion in the snout, sending it reeling. "We won't back down." For every swipe of a paw and clash of bodies, the savanna became a living tableau of survival. Scarface leaped atop a boulder, scanning the battlefield. His brothers fought valiantly around him, breathing and moving as one, the strength of their bond evident in every swing, every roar. Amid the chaos, perspective shifted. For a heartbeat, a lioness from Xarius's pack hesitated when she caught sight of the alliance. The sudden realization of what was at stake created an unexpected still moment, where breaths were held and hearts raced. Sikio landed a solid blow to a lion charging at Scarface, and Marani, eyes ablaze, signaled to the zebras to press forward. The fight crescendoed, and the alliance hung on the precipice of victory. "Together," Scarface bellowed, lending weight to the collective force. "Fear nothing." With every guttural roar and flash of fury, the desperate battle echoed across the plains, a testament to the undeniable truth that survival often hinges not on blood, but on unity forged in the fires of battle. As Xarius's remnants began to falter, it was apparent that unforeseen allies could change the course of fate. Victory surged within reach, yet the true test lay not merely in the strength of their fangs and claws, but within the trust they built amidst the storm. And as the sun set, painting the horizon with strokes of crimson, the aftermath awaited, a silence filled with a heavy kind of promise. Scene 27. Ambush in the night. The moon hung low in the vibrant sky of the Maasai Mara, casting an ethereal glow across the savanna. Shadows danced among the tall grasses, flickering like ghosts as a gentle breeze whispered secrets through the night. Scarface paced restlessly, his golden fur gleaming in the silvery light, eyes scanning the horizon. The air was thick with an oppressive stillness, prickling the back of his neck. From a distance, the quiet thrummed with an unsettling energy, as though the land itself could sense the brewing storm. The stars, bright yet distant, seemed to watch, holding their breath. Scarface exchanged a tense glance with Sikio, who crouched low beside him, muscles coiled and ready. "Something doesn't feel right," said Sikio, his voice barely above a whisper, yet resonating with urgency. "Quiet, let's stay sharp," Scarface replied, a growl barely hidden within his tone. His thoughts swirled. In his heart lingered the dark fear of losing his brothers, a terror he fought to bury beneath a mask of boldness. As they nestled closer, Ulani came into view, her sleek form gliding silently toward them. "If they're coming, it'll be soon." The caution we show today is our greatest weapon, she asserted, her voice calm yet brimming with conviction. It's not just about caution, Hunter interjected, irritation boiling within him. We need a plan. We can't simply wait for them to strike. What if they're already creeping closer? Marani paced, agitated, lashing his tail against the ground. All this talk of what if? We're wasting time. We should strike first. Bravery and recklessness are two sides of the same coin, Ulani countered, narrowing her eyes under the moonlight. Bravery will keep us together. Recklessness could tear us apart. Enough, Scarface roared, a command that reverberated through the night, silence following in its wake. An awkward tension filled the air, thick and tangible, before slowly dissipating. We'll split into pairs. Ulani, you and Sikio scout the eastern rise. Marani, Hunter, stick together and cover the western flank. I'll keep watch in the center. Reluctantly, they nodded, each shifting their weight as apprehension lingered. The brothers moved silently, their hearts echoing louder than their footsteps against the desolate backdrop. As shadows deepened and the moon charted across the sky, the first low growl sliced through the air, a harbinger. Scarface's ears pricked, claws digging into the ground in readiness. The rival pride crept from the shadows, their eyes fierce, glints of malice flashing like sharpened blades. The hunt had begun. Hold your ground, Scarface hissed, his heart racing as his brothers positioned themselves, a living barricade. The enemy pride advanced, their roars merging into a chilling chorus, a symphony of intent. A sudden bolt of speed shattered the silent air. Hyena figures slashed toward them with predatory precision, teeth bared. Scarface charged forward, instincts kicking into high gear. Every muscle in his body coiled before erupting into action, a warrior prepared to protect what was his. Together, he yelled, leaping to intercept the first assault. Marani leaped alongside him, his cousin's agility surprising for his size. They came upon the first hyena, jaws snapping, fangs gleaming in the moonlight. Scarface's swipe connected, sending the creature reeling backward. The victory was short-lived, as another hyena lunged at him, aiming for his flank. Sikio and Ulani, having heard the ruckus, rapidly advanced to bolster their brothers. Ulani swung gracefully, her attack precise, as she eluded the crazed bites aimed at her with a dancer's poise. "Watch your back!" she shouted at Sikio, just in time for him to evade a tackle. Hunter's ferocity matched the enemy's, his barks sharp and fierce, rallying them as they formed a tighter circle. "Stay together. We can't let them break our line." Scarface, adrenaline surging, saw Marani take a heavy blow, the impact jarring enough to draw a pained yelp. "Marani!" he roared, pivoting, teeth gritted, his heart now boiling with anger and concern. "Get back!" As the battle raged on, the landscape was a chaos of growls, frantic paws, and splashes of dust, each brother dependent on the other, driven by a primal instinct to protect their own. Suddenly, Scarface caught a movement from the corner of his eye, a flash of fur, too fleeting and familiar, darting towards Sikio. "No!" he screamed, launching into action, ground shuddering beneath him, each heartbeat aligning with his purpose. He could not afford to lose another brother. With a final, desperate surge, Scarface barreled forward, aware that the very essence of brotherhood lay in this moment. None could falter, none could fail. Scene 28, The Rise of Leadership. The stillness of the late afternoon sun cast elongated shadows across the dry savanna. Scarface stood near the gnarled trunk of an ancient acacia tree, the heat rippling off the earth like a tangible wave. "If we attack from the north, we can flank the buffalo herd before they know we're there," he proposed, his voice steady yet tinged with urgency. Marani, a muscular lion with a dark golden mane, narrowed his eyes. "And what if the hyenas catch our scent first? They've been lurking closer each day." He clenched his jaw, muscles twitching as if preparing for a fight. His watchful gaze fell on Scarface, aflame with a strange mix of admiration and covert resentment. Ulani Mwanga, always a voice of reason, interjected. "We can't let fear dictate our actions, Marani. The herd has thinned. If we don't act now, we risk starvation." The wind tousled her sleek, tawny coat, and her amber eyes shone with conviction. She stepped closer to Scarface, her presence a soothing balm amidst rising tension. "But what if Scarface's plan backfires?" Marani shot back, a hint of jealousy twisting his words. He flicked his tail nervously, a stark contrast to his large frame, as if the thought unsettled him more than he cared to show. Scarface's gaze lingered on Marani for a heartbeat longer. Then let it be on me, he replied firmly, the intensity in his voice making his brothers momentarily still. I'll take responsibility. Hunter, the youngest of the four, interrupted eagerly. I'll help distract them. The loudest roar will come from me, right, Scarface? His youthful enthusiasm chased away some of the gloom in the air. A fleeting smile creased Scarface's muzzle, but it quickly vanished as he refocused on the matter at hand. We'll all play our parts, he affirmed. Strength lies in unity. Marani shifted, his skepticism lingering like the aftertaste of a bitter herb. Unity doesn't come from bravado, brother. We risk everything on belief alone. His deep voice rumbled, laced with the weight of past failures and a fierce protective instinct. Scarface felt the tension knot in his chest. It's not merely belief, he stated, passion rising in his voice. He stepped closer to Marani, the air thick between them. It's our bond. We fight for each other. Every time. He studied Marani's dark eyes, searching desperately for understanding. As silence engulfed the brothers, another faint rustle broke the stillness. A lone zebra cautiously approached the tree line, unaware of the gathering storm nearby. The brothers instinctively shifted their focus, eyes narrowing in unison. Scarface cast a knowing glance at Hunter, and the eager cub crouched low, eager to spring into action. But before they could move, a sudden growl erupted from the underbrush, sending a dart of adrenaline through them all. Sikio, the oldest of the brothers, emerged, his tawny form seemingly stoic, but his expression betraying a simmering urgency. They're scouting us. Hyenas have crept closer. We need a plan now. The dynamic in the clearing shifted instantly as the stakes escalated. Marani's eyes met Scarface's, a silent weighing of thoughts coiling between them. Could they trust Scarface's burgeoning idea? The bonds of brotherhood thickened the air, heavy with the scent of danger and unspoken doubts. Ulani glanced from Marani to Scarface. We need to strike first. They won't expect it. If we show strength, they'll think twice. Her heart raced, not out of fear, but from the possibility that Scarface's leadership might just bring them together at a pivotal moment. Scarface stepped forward, his voice booming with newfound authority. Tonight we hunt. We're not merely brothers. We're lions. We fight together. We lead together. For our pride. His features radiated strength, and his brothers slowly nodded, confidence kindling in the shared space. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and violet, mirroring the tumult of emotions within. As Scarface turned to set the plan into action, Marani lingered, a glimmer of respect breaking through his hardened exterior. If you lead us to glory, Scarface, I'll follow. And we will, Hunter interrupted, the youthful spark igniting a surge of unity among them. Scarface inhaled deeply, committing the moment to memory. As he turned back, the spirits of brotherhood echoed in the air, cocooning them in the promise that together they would rise. Scene 29, facing the storm. Scarface stood at the edge of their territory, the hot wind whipping around him with a ferocity that twisted the tall grasses. Thunder rolled in the distance, a low, ominous hum. Are we ready for this? He growled, his golden eyes scanning the horizon, feeling an electric tension in the air. Sikio, his closest brother, shifted beside him, stretching his powerful legs. You mean the storm or what comes with it? He pushed a tuft of grass aside, revealing small footprints, likely a group of leopards looking to take advantage of the chaos. Both are trouble. As the first raindrops started to fall, Ulani Mwanga padded closer, his thoughts spiraling. Storms make us vulnerable. We can't let our guard down. Remember what happened last time. His voice faltered slightly, creating an echo of past fears. Marani, the last of the brothers, interjected with a flick of his tail. I don't fear the storm. I fear what thinks it can take advantage of us. He glanced back toward their den, where their younger siblings nestled peacefully, oblivious to the brewing tempest. Scarface snorted, trying to mask the gnawing fear in his gut. We can handle anything that comes our way. He moved closer to Ulani, seeking a reassurance that seemed to be fading like the sunlight behind the darkening clouds. We face this together, right? Before Ulani could respond, a distant roar shattered the air, vibrating through the ground beneath them like a warning bell. The brothers fell silent, exchanging worried glances. Looks like others are braver than they should be, Marani remarked, his voice low and steady. A lightning bolt split the sky, illuminating the shadows creeping along their territory. Just then, Rasha, a daring hyena matriarch known for her ruthless cunning, burst out from the brush. Well, the mighty Scarface and his band of protectors. You think this storm gives you protection? Her laughter danced through the air, venomous and cutting. Rasha! Scarface roared, the thunder echoing his challenge. You tread on ground that does not welcome you. His confidence resonated, but inside his heart hammered against an old fear of losing what mattered most. Rasha's grin widened, cleverly matching the storm's energy. Oh, dear lion, I'm here to test your resolve, not your territory. With a flick of her ear, she signaled to a group of lurking hyenas, ready to pounce when the moment was ripe. Sikio, Marani, flank her! We need to protect the den and our siblings! Scarface commanded, stepping forward, his muscles coiling. But doubt pooled beneath the bravado, whispering tales of defeat he desperately tried to ignore. Rasha cackled. You think I fear your outnumbered pride? She moved swiftly, darting like lightning itself, her teeth bared as she challenged one of the brothers. Sikio engaged first, muscles and ferocity colliding in a fierce dance. Marani bobbed and weaved behind her, knowing instinctively to hide in her blind spots, while Ulani, with a swift swipe of claws, darted toward a vulnerable opening. The rain poured harder now, soaking the ground into a slippery challenge. Amid the chaos, Ulani felt a surge of protectiveness and fear intertwining within him. He dodged Rasha's snap, leaping to the side. We have to work as one, he shouted, urgency fueling his movements. As Scarface lunged at Rasha, aiming for her throat, he was nearly taken down by another rogue hyena sneaking in. The world narrowed to the primal instinct to defend, to preserve the life of his brothers. Scarface roared again as lightning illuminated the battlefield, shadows clashing viciously, a living tapestry of fierce loyalty and desperation, each brother embodying strength and resilience. In battling the storm, both internal and external, the brothers discovered hidden depths. Whatever happens, we fight for each other. Scarface yelled, his voice battling against the storm's wrath, a raw bond of brotherhood igniting into an unbreakable blaze. Through the shouts, growls, and chaos, the fate of their pride hung delicately in the balance, each heartbeat echoing the strength of their unity, a ferocious reminder that within storms, more powerful than fear, was an unwavering bond grounded in loyalty. Scene 30. A Day of Reckoning. The air hung heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth, the humidity wrapping around the brothers like the weight of impending doom. Scarface stood at the edge of a wide acacia grove, his heart pounding as the dark clouds overhead roiled ominously, mirroring his chaotic thoughts. He could feel the flicker of dread coiling in his chest, a visceral reminder of the day their mother was lost to the merciless flood, the echo of her absence still haunting him. Today, he couldn't afford to let fear rule him. Today was a day for warriors. Do they know what's coming for them? Sikio asked, his golden eyes narrowing as he scanned the horizon. His voice was steady, but carrion buzzards circled above, heralding the chaos about to unfold. Of course they do, Hunter replied, a confident grin spreading across his muzzle. His tail flicked with anticipation. They're coming for our territory like moths to a flame. By now the ground vibrated with the thumping of numerous paws. The shadowy figures of rival lions emerged from the thick underbrush, their snarls like thunder rumbling in a distant storm. Marani stood beside Scarface, silent yet resolute. We will stand as one, right? Absolutely, Scarface affirmed, heated determination igniting within him. The rain began to patter, each drop a promise of renewal, cleansing the burden of what lay ahead. As their rivals closed in, the brothers shifted, forming a powerful line. The mottled pelts of the intruders shimmered ominously in the sporadic flashes of lightning, allowing the musketeers to recognize their bitter enemies, the Bastion prides. The matriarch hyena, tusks bared, led the charge with a menacing cackle that resonated through the trees. Come on, Scarface. Ulani's voice cut through the growing tension as she leapt up beside him, her green eyes filled with an unyielding spirit. Remember what you told me? Fear can be useful. It sharpens your instincts. Use it. I can't let them take what's ours, Scarface roared, his voice echoing through the shifting canopy. They'll have to go through us first. In that moment, it all erupted. Rain began to pour down, melding with the sweat and fury of battle. The musketeers surged forward as one, crashing into their foes with a ferocity that shook the ground. Teeth bared, they fought as if the very essence of life depended on it. Scipio lunged at a rival lion, swiping his paw across the enemy's face before rolling away from an attacking flank. The other lion staggered but quickly regained balance, retaliating with a vicious bite. "You think you can take us?" he growled, pain and defiance equal in his tone. Marani, alongside his brother, prowled like a panther, darting into the melee. "Together, boys!" he bellowed, grabbing the attention of the younger huntsmen flanking them. "We are the pride's heart." Amidst the chaos, Ulani found herself pressed against a tree trunk, dodging out of the way of a lunging hyena. Her agile form twisted, springing off the bark and hurtling herself into the fray. "Look out behind you," she shouted, eyes wide, as another attacking hyena raked its claws against Marani's shoulder. With an indignant roar, Scarface sprang forward, sinking his teeth into the intruder's flank. The hyena released a horrifying yelp, throwing its head back in a desperate attempt to escape. "I'll tear you apart," Scarface warned, a promise wrapped in fury. Hunter remained steadfast, defending their right flank. With blades of grass dripping with rainwater whipping against his fur, he hissed at an approaching rival. "Try and get past, and you'll be sorry." The enemy lion hesitated, feeling the unease ripple among his ranks. Suddenly, the tide shifted as the worst happened. Scipio went down, the weight of 3 rival lions pinning him to the ground, their claws digging into his side. Scarface's heart lurched. For a breath, doubt flooded his mind. But then, a pulse of loyalty surged through him. His brothers needed him. "Get off him!" Scarface charged forward, a lion's might coursing through his veins as he struck down the first opponent with his claws glinting like silver under the flickering lightning. "We live through this together." With ferocity that stemmed from desperation, he fought back, clawing his way towards the relentless enemy. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the fervor and despair of their struggle. This was their territory. This was their home. And Scarface led, with the promise of survival etched in his heart. "Brothers, rally," he shouted, as the fighting raged on. "Let's show them who we are." In that moment, a fierce roar erupted from a rallying cry echoing through the storm. The day would be reckoned. Scene 31. Learning from loss. Beneath the acacia trees, a heavy hush enveloped the pride. Dappled sunlight filtered through the leaves, illuminating the weary, blood-stained bodies of the fallen hyenas scattered among the grass. The scent of earth mingled with the iron tang of blood, a stark reminder of past battles. Scarface lifted his head, feeling the weight of his brother's gazes upon him. The air crackled with a tension that crackled like dry grass underfoot. Scipio lay sprawled at Scarface's side, his brow furrowed, tail twitching slightly as if reacting to phantom foes. He glanced at Marani, whose amber eyes reflected both fatigue and sorrow. "Do you remember Jiri?" Scipio said, his voice tight. "He was always the one to sneak in and steal a meal when we thought we were alone." A bitter laugh mixed with the memory, as if recalling a ghost. Marani turned his gaze to the ground. Who could forget? His tricks were as bold as they were foolish. He paused, clenching his jaw. "He always made me grumble, but I'd give anything for one more scuffle with him." Scarface stood up, muscles taut, his voice low and steady. "We fight for them now." His gaze swept over the quiet forms of fallen foes. They might be gone, but their spirit remains. Ulani Mwanga, watching from a distance, felt the pulse of grief resonate through her as she chafed against the merciless sun. She recalled Jiri's endless antics, his enthusiasm that drew everyone into his mischief. And here, surrounded by silence and mourning, she felt a deep ache forming in her chest, an emptiness that echoed louder than any roar. Scipio stretched, an attempt to shake off the heaviness that clung to him like moisture after a downpour. "What's there to remember except their foolishness?" he muttered, struggling against the encroaching darkness. "It wasn't just foolishness, Scipio," Marani shot back. "It was brotherhood. They stood with us. Their laughter was a weapon against despair." As he spoke, his emotions swirled beneath the surface, each word weighted with inevitability. Scarface took a step forward, a flicker of pride igniting through the sorrow. "Exactly. We became warriors together. It's our strength that endures. We honor them not by lingering in our sadness, but by living for every moment we can." His voice trembled slightly, vulnerability creeping into his fierce demeanor. Ulani felt her heart quicken. Scarface painted a picture of resolve, of strength amid loss, and she could not help but admire how he led them forward, even in grief. The sun hung high, casting dapples across his figure, every line of his body a promise to confront the lingering shadows of their memories. Across the clearing, Hunter, the youngest of the brothers, wrestled with a much different burden. Sitting back on his haunches, he traced the scars on his paws, each one a testament to battles fought and lost. "Do you think they would have wanted us to remember them like this?" he asked, voice small yet resonant with deep-seated fear. "Do you think they would want us to keep fighting?" Scarface turned to Hunter, unwavering. "When you share a bond as strong as ours, each scar tells a story. We embrace them, not evade them. That's what makes us family." Hunter looked up, searching Scarface's eyes, seeking assurance. "Then I won't forget them," he whispered, flicking his tail in a gesture of resolve, though his vulnerability still hovered in the air like an uninvited guest. At that moment, the proud silhouette of their father, elder of the pride and warrior unknown, loomed overhead, a distant memory intertwined with those lost, reminding them that even within death, there are lessons learned. "Every fight shapes us," Ulani added, her voice rising above the collective silence. "In loss, we grow stronger. We find purpose." Scarface nodded slowly, a soft exhale escaping him. "We all have scars, and we must honor every single one." He glanced at his brothers, their faces shadowed by grief but glimmering with unyielding resolve. And in that quiet moment, the tension released slightly as solemn understanding prevailed, a bond forged in loss and life still beating strong. As the shadows lengthened, Scarface's voice broke the waning silence. "The forgotten will fuel our fire. Together, we will reign." With a nod to the sky, the brothers stood tall, leathered, ready to face the days ahead. Only in unity did they truly belong. Scene 32. Strategic Retreat. The sun dipped low in the vast sky, casting a golden layer over the rugged landscape of the Maasai Mara. Fresh scratches and dirt marred Scarface's tawny coat, remnants of the recent skirmish. He paced beneath the twisted acacia trees, each pawfall heavy with the weight of responsibility pressing on his young shoulders. His brothers, Sikio, Marani, and Hunter, lay scattered among the tall grasses, their breathing symbiotic with the rustling leaves. "Scarface, what do we do now?" Ulani Mwanga's voice trembled slightly, the shyness in her tones stark against the harshness of their reality. Though her great heart was often brave, every skirmish left its mark, especially on her delicate soul. "Regroup," Scarface replied, suppressing the tightness in his throat. The sharp thrum of the day's events echoed in his ears, each attack a reminder of their mother's absence. "We need to strategize. We can't keep attacking without a plan." Ulani's muzzle twitched, and she stepped closer, her intelligent eyes darting around like a hawk assessing the terrain. "The wind carries their scent, Scar, and they're closing in. The last thing we need is to be trapped." "Then let's find our safest place," Morani interjected, his voice full of simmering tension. The fear was palpable, yet the battle for leadership wrestled within him. "We can't just sit here. We've had enough retreating." Sikio, always the peacemaker, lowered his head gently, his golden fur brushing against the prickly grasses. "Calm down, brother. Sometimes the quiet can be our greatest ally." His soothing presence infused the air, a contrast against the charged atmosphere threatening to explode. "Strength isn't only in attack," Scarface asserted, momentarily finding stillness amidst their chaos. "It's knowing when to be cautious. We've come too far to throw caution to the wind." Ulani looked up at him, a wave of understanding passing between them. "The grasses will hide us. It's the waters we must cross next. The river runs strong after the rains. Crossing its currents can separate us," she wary intoned, her mind working rapidly. With the sunset creeping closer, Scarface felt an unexpected heaviness settle in his chest. All four brothers had previously relied on their mother's guidance. Now, the stakes felt different. Having lost her, every small decision felt like a fight against the tide, an emotional retreat of sorts. "Then we move," Scarface declared, his voice resolute. "Let's head toward the old bedrock. It's a stronghold and defensible." As they shifted into motion, the group was a fluid dance, their brotherly bonds tightening as their shared mission took on a renewed vigor. The The tall grasses brushed against their bodies like weary soldiers returning home amid a war zone. Suddenly, Marani halted, eyes wide as his senses picked up an unforeseen disruption. The faint sound of barking hyenas threaded through the air, each echo sending a shiver down his spine. He turned sharply to Scarface, tension firing through him. "Scar, they're coming!" "Stay low," Scarface commanded, his voice low yet firm, cutting through the tension. Silently! Together they huddled against the ground, instincts sharpening. The cacophony of sounds in the twilight blended as if nature itself held its breath. "Do you remember the first time we heard a pack this close?" Hunter whispered, the corners of his mouth twitching with rogue humor in the face of impending doom. "Yeah," Sikio chuckled softly, his eyes alive with nostalgia, even in peril. "It was that dumb old jackal pretending to be a lion, ruined our whole hunting practice." Scarface couldn't help but smile, the warmth of camaraderie rekindling the flutter of hope in his chest. When they worked together in their playful banter, they could conquer the fiercest enemies. A rustle nearby made them freeze once more. Scarface's heart raced, instincts primal and sharp. "Heads up, everyone," he instructed, his breath even. "We defend what's ours. Trust the bond. We're stronger together." As the shadows deepened, their silent agreement echoed loud and clear. Their survival depended on more than just brute strength. It relied on their unity and trust. Their journey was treacherous, yet they would face it all. "Let's show them what we're made of," Scarface urged, knowing in his bones they were ready. As they crouched, they became shadows in the gloaming. The battlefield now lay before them, like an uncharted land filled with raw possibility and fierce determination. Scene 33, The Lure of Power. In the golden, dappled light of the late afternoon sun, the air simmered with a charged silence. Scarlet clumps of grass swayed gently as Scarface and his brothers Sikio, Marani, and Hunter huddled near the edge of a shallow waterhole. The sounds of a nearby herd of wildebeest grazed softly, punctuating the stillness. "Listen," Scarface said, lowering himself to the ground, his amber eyes scanning the horizon. The moment felt weighty, heavy with unspoken fears. "If we're going to confront him, we need a plan." Sikio flicked an ear dismissively, irritation dancing in his posture. "Do we really need to plot against the new lion? He shows strength. That's good for us, isn't it?" "Strength is a mask," Marani interjected, his voice low but sharp, cutting through the quiet. "What if he's merely a shadow waiting to pounce?" The tension thickened, the unease palpable. Waves of uncertainty rippled through Scarface. He took a moment, allowing the gravity of their precarious situation to sink in. "He lured us here with promises," Scarface growled, clenching his claws into the earth. "Promises are as dangerous as a thorn bush in a stampede." Hunter, usually the quietest, stepped forward, his deep brown eyes shimmering with a rare intensity. "And what if those promises lead to true allies? He's opened up his territory, shared kills. That's something we can't ignore." The wind rustled, carrying the faint scent of dust, but Sikio shook his head. "Allies in the wild are as deceptive as a snake in the grass." The brothers were caught in a simmering argument, each voice rising gradually. Nearby, unseen yet ever watchful, Ulani Mwanga and her playful younger sister Asha peeked from the tall grass. "Do you think they'll stop fighting?" Asha whispered, her tiny voice barely audible over the growing tension. Ulani frowned, her brow knitted tightly. "They won't stop until they've resolved this. Scarface doesn't trust the newcomer." She shifted, adjusting the weight of her thoughts. "And the others are too eager, too hopeful. Seems silly. Why not just let him be?" Asha asked, her curiosity brimming. "He's offering them power, something Scarface fears," Ulani replied, her gaze fixed on the brothers, her heart racing with unease. "More power can mean more danger. He knows what it means to lose." Meanwhile, Scarface's voice echoed back to his brothers, rising like thunder. "We can't let fear dictate our choices. I won't let it." He paused, the weight of his mother's loss gripping him like a vice. "I'd rather fight than see us live under a lion who doesn't care about us." The air crackled with tension, as if nature itself held its breath. Silence enveloped them, a battle of wills breaking against the whisper of grass stirred by a fleeting breeze. Marani broke the quiet, his tone suddenly sharp. "You think your pride and courage make you strong? We have to consider the bigger picture. He's not like us. He can bring rain where we see drought, or bristle his belly with betrayal. Scarface countered, his voice fervent. We know what betrayal looks like. I won't find my story twisted by someone else's greed. The brothers' eyes blazed, a tempest of loyalty and rivalry. But it was Hunter who now, with a quiet confidence, spoke softly. We need to trust each other more than any lion. Let's stake our claims on truth, not ego. Ulani felt a flicker of hope dance within her. Trust is built, not given, she murmured to Asha, who nodded silently. As Scarface turned away, taking in the vast horizon where shadows threatened to spill from the horizon, the distant roars of another pride echoed through the air, an ominous reminder of the challenges they faced. Each step felt heavy, the weight of his resolve unfurling inside him. We'll meet him at dawn, Scarface declared, firm and unwavering, but we will do so together. The brothers rumbled in agreement, but beneath it all lingered the palpable tension of uncertain allegiances. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the savannah, Asha turned to Ulani. Do you think they're really going to be okay? Ulani watched Scarface square his shoulders, a fierce protector among uncertainty. Only time will tell, she whispered, her voice almost lost to the wind, but the spark in her gaze held a promise. Brotherhood would always remain, no matter the cost. Scene 34. Return of the Rivals. The air was thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth, a promising yet foreboding heaviness that pressed down on the wilds of the Maasai Mara. Dark clouds loomed above, spilling shadows across the terrain, and the grass swayed gently as a whisper of wind stirred through. Scarface, his fur damp from an earlier drizzle, stood vigilant near a stream, gazing into the water's reflective surface, where he caught glimpses of his brothers Sikio, Marani, and Hunter murmuring amongst themselves. You need to concentrate, Scarface, Marani said, his voice low but commanding as he paced a small radius, surveying the area like a hawk. We can't let our guard down. Not now. Scarface turned, his emerald eyes ablaze with the weight of responsibility. I know that. He flicked his tail, frustration simmering beneath the surface. But why do you think they're coming back? Haven't they learned their lesson? There's a difference between learning and wanting revenge, Sikio replied, his deep rumbling voice barely containing a hint of apprehension. Banzai and his band have nothing to lose now. The way they see it, they've been wronged, and they will come for what they deserve. Hunter, usually quiet, chimed in. We can't underestimate them. Scarface, they're unpredictable, driven by a hunger for vengeance. If they want to fight, we need to be ready. As droplets began to fall like shards of glass, the brothers fell silent. Around them, the wilderness held its breath, the chirping of crickets replaced by an ominous hush. Ready or not, Scarface began, this is our territory. We have to defend what's ours, and that includes each other. In the underbrush, Ulani Mwanga stepped cautiously, her keen eyes betraying the tension in her heart. The lioness paced as the weather mirrored her emotions, thunder rumbling distant like the whispers of impending conflict within their pride. She could feel the bristling atmosphere, the bond between the brothers a palpable force. Their sense of duty was electric, yet fear flickered just beneath the surface. She stepped forward, interrupting, You're right, Scarface, but don't let the weight of it crush you. You're not alone anymore. Scarface turned to her, the depth of his gaze directed fiercely at her words. Strength isn't just about how many you can take down. It's knowing you have others beside you. Don't mistake bravado for courage. Hunter nodded in agreement. She's right. We're in this together. A sudden gust lifted the tension momentarily, and Scarface's ears perked at a rustle beyond the tree line, a shadow flitted by, distinctly familiar and threatening. The brothers instinctively positioned themselves, instinctual tension tightening their muscles as they sensed impending confrontation. Ulani's heart plummeted. It's them, she whispered, breathing out the unease. Banzai, Scarface growled, the name weighted with years of rivalry. Moments later, with an explosion of sound, Banzai appeared, his mane wild and fur matted with the remnants of past battles. Behind him were his loyal hyena followers, eyes glinting with mischief and malice. They encircled the clearing, a remorseless pack of shadows ready to pounce. I thought I'd find you here, Banzai sneered, revealing teeth that shone ominously even in the fading light. A shame you're not as clever as you think. Your reign ends here. Tread carefully, Banzai, Scarface replied, his voice low and calm, belying the storm brewing in his heart. We'll never back down from scum like you." The atmosphere thickened, and tension crackled like the impending storm. "Brother, I've always believed in fighting for territory," Banzai said, voice dripping with mockery. "But you'll fall like every defeated king before you. Tragedy defines heroes." Scarface felt a rush of anger surge through his veins, but he took a breath, focusing on his brothers. Marani stood closer, his resolve steady as a steel blade. Sikio's growl rumbled deep and low. Hunter's gaze flicked between Scarface and the enemy, as if weighing 1,000 outcomes. "Let them come," Sikio spat, stance unwavering. "I'll show them what true strength is, together." "Together," Ulani echoed with quiet resolve, feeling the electric bonds swell in the air as the brothers prepared to fight, the first drops of rain starting to fall, a precursor to the storm that was about to erupt. "No matter the cost," Scarface said, a fierce determination brewing within him, resolve tempered by love and loyalty, the essence of brotherhood. Even as thunder cracked above, the real battle was just beginning. Scene 35. The ultimate betrayal. The sun hung low over the Maasai Mara, its golden rays filtering through the tall grasses, casting long shadows that danced ominously beneath the gnarled acacia trees. Scarface stood at the edge of their territory, the air thick with the scent of impending rain mingled with the earthy musk of the savanna. He clenched his jaw, each breath steeped in an uneasy tension. Despite the overwhelming beauty surrounding him, an urgency stirred in his chest, a whisper of something dark waiting just beyond sight. The sky morphed from azure to a tempestuous gray, and Scarface's muscles tightened. He turned his gaze over the horizon, seeking his brothers. His gaze fell on Marani, who had isolated himself near the waterhole, watching the others draw in closer to the lioness Ulani. Scarface's fur bristled. There was something about Marani's posture, how he slumped forward as though he carried a weight he couldn't shake off. "Marani!" Scarface called, the edge to his voice echoing through the fields, cutting through the stillness. But Marani didn't respond immediately. He turned his head just slightly, enough for Scarface to see the fraught flicker in his deep-set eyes. Scarface moved forward, his pace deliberate yet wary. "What's wrong?" he pressed, his voice lowering, weaving concern with authority. The tension shimmered between them like the heat rippling off the ground. Marani slowly unfurled himself, raising his chin but not meeting Scarface's desperate gaze. "It's nothing, brother," he replied, the words slipping through clenched teeth like the last remnants of a surrender. But Scarface felt the nuance, a hesitation that sent fear spiraling in his gut. "Is that why you've been so distant?" Scarface prodded. "The others can feel it, too." The muscles in Marani's neck tightened, betraying the irritation he attempted to hide. "I'm just thinking about our future, about what's best for us." "For us?" Scarface felt a sudden surge of frustration. "This is our home. We protect this land together. If you've found some pretext to abandon your brothers..." Marani flinched, his lip curling in a mix of anger and anguish. "You don't understand. There's a chance to join the Sylvan Pride. They've offered strength, protection." His voice wavered, crackling like lightning in the distance. Scarface's thoughts whirled, each pulse of his heart fueling a growing storm inside him. "So you're just going to walk away? You think this will make you stronger?" The fierce loyalty etched in every line of Scarface's face contrasted sharply with the internal turmoil brewing within Marani. "I'm trying to think of all of us, Scarface. You never listen." Marani recoiled as if struck, anger pushing past reason. "But fine, if you want to think you're so invincible, go ahead. One day you'll see." Scarface stepped closer, bracing himself for the confrontation. "I won't let you throw away everything we built." The distance between them crackled with unspoken words, feelings unrooted and dragging. Suddenly, a rustle in the grass drew their attention. A group of hyenas emerged, eyes gleaming with predatory delight, their laughter ringing off the walls of the nearby hills. They could sense the discord among the brothers. "Look at that, brothers falling apart." The lead hyena taunted, baring his teeth. "Why don't you join us, Marani? We can be a family too." Scarface snarled, twisting toward the intruders. "Stay out of this. This is between us." He stood shoulder to shoulder with Marani, both of them exuding power, yet the fissures of treachery loomed between them. Marani locked eyes with Scarface, a silent plea intertwined with veiled hurt. The moment hung like charged mine waiting to explode, words and emotions teetering on the brink. "Choose wisely, Marani," Scarface urged, each syllable wrapping around the heat of the afternoon. "Your brothers are here. What will you do?" The hyenas cackled, inching closer, eyes sharp. They could smell the conflict, fear, and anger thrumming through the air. But amidst that roar, Marani took a moment, his body language shifting, the weight of his decision pressing heavy. Scarface's heart raced, each second extending into eternity as he awaited Marani's response. The earth felt unstable beneath them, an impending storm brewing on the horizon, mirrored in the uncertainty of their bond. Marani's answer loomed like a shadow cast on the fading light. "You'll regret this," he whispered, as the hyenas began to close in. As Scarface braced for what was to come, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of their darkest fight yet. Scene 36. Battered but unbroken. The sun cast its last fiery rays over the savannah, bathing the land in hues of burnt orange and deep mauve. As shadows stretched long, Scarface stood on a rocky outcropping, the dusty earth cool beneath his paws. The wind whispered secrets through the sparse grass, but his mind swirled with tension. Each gust carried the distant echoes of growls that punctuated the air, reminding him of the stakes they faced. "Brother, are you sure about this?" Marani's voice thrummed with urgency, his dark mane ruffling in the breeze. The tension was palpable between them. It pricked Scarface's skin like the low-hanging thorns of acacia trees. Scarface turned, his amber eyes glinting with ferocity. "We don't have a choice, Marani. Sikio's counting on us." Scarface's voice cut through the sunset glow, rich with conviction. Inside, however, the weight of leadership pressed hard against his ribs. The memory of their mother flickered, a phantom beneath his bravado, echoing her last moments as they were swept away by the tumultuous flood. "Remember the last fight? They were relentless," Ulani Mwanga interjected, her tone softer yet underlying a fierce resolve. "We barely made it out alive. We can't let fear guide us into that chaos again." Her emerald eyes locked onto Scarface's, piercing through the haze of doubt swirling in his heart. Sikio emerged from the thicket, breathing heavily, his strong figure silhouetted against the crimson sky. "The hyenas are gathering, Scarface. We intercept tonight, or we let them seize our territory." Scarface nodded, but his mind fought against the rush of adrenaline. He glanced at his brothers, each carrying scars that whispered stories of battles past. A vulnerability flickered in his chest, one he dare not reveal. Would he lead them straight into a trap? "Let's be quick about this," Hunter said, determination emanating from him. "We are the Musketeers. We won't back down." His bright eyes reflected a wild spirit, and Scarface felt the pulse of Brotherhood ignite. "Together," Scarface murmured, drawing strength from their bond. The brothers formed a huddle, a circle of sinew, muscle, and resolve. With a nod of affirmation, they stepped back into shadows, ready to clash. As they approached the clearing where the last skirmish had lingered dark, Sikio's growl quivered through the air. "There they are. Look how they move, like storms brewing. We can catch them off guard," he said, his voice low and rumbling. But just as hope surged, so did shadows. The hyena matriarch, sly and ferocious, led an unexpected swarm, eyes glinting with malice. "Fools! The territory is ours for the taking," she cackled, unfurling a menacing grin. Scarface's heart raced as he prepared for the impending chaos. "This is it, brothers. No hesitation. Fight with everything." The rallying cry echoed around him as they charged forward. The battlefield erupted with the clash of teeth and claw, dust flying like clouds of despair. Scarface roared, a sound that rippled through the terror, a testament to their resolve. He dodged a snapping jaw while retaliating with a swipe that drew blood from a fast-moving hyena. Pain surged, but he pressed on. This was their home, their stand. Nearby, Marani and Hunter backed each other, their bodies moving in synchrony. Hunter leaped to swipe at a burly hyena, his massive paw connecting with a satisfying thud. "Scarface, on your left!" Marani yelled, sidestepping an assault of fangs aiming for his flank. The frenzy became a blur of growls and cries while Ulani, darting between foes, utilized her cleverness and speed. "Strike here!" she shouted, directing a wound as she maneuvered with agile finesse. Yet, in a fleeting moment of chaos, Scarface felt it, a brush against his leg as a small hyena, desperate and snarling, lunged. He twisted, feeling the power of his brothers' backs against him. their strength an unyielding wall. Where so many were festering doubts, the unshakable bond of his brothers fired his resolve. "We are battered but unbroken," Scarface howled, the battle cry erupting from his core. Pushed to the edge, their spirits swelled with defiance. The musketeers were forged in the fires of struggle, undeterred by the scars they bore. As one, they lunged, the resolute promise of survival clawing its way through deep-rooted fear. And for the heartbeat of a second, Scarface thought he saw the flicker of a ghostly figure, his mother, watching over them, urging them to stand firm in unity. It was a fleeting vision, but potent enough to set their hearts ablaze with hope. "We'll reclaim our place," he roared, plunging into the fight once more. The clash of nature continued, roaring fiercely against the encroaching dark. In the struggle, the brothers found not just the bitter taste of combat, but the resounding strength of each other, powerful, unyielding, brothers united against the storm. Scene 37. Trials of Leadership. In the heart of the Maasai Mara, the golden light filtered through the acacia trees, painting the ground in a mosaic of warmth. Scarface stood at the edge of their territory, his silhouette sharp against the sprawling savanna. He surveyed the horizon, muscles rigid, heart pounding with the weight of responsibility. Today was no ordinary day. Today, they would hunt. But this time, Scarface's leadership would be tested in ways he never anticipated. "Are you ready?" Ulani Mwanga's voice broke through the morning stillness, both a question and a challenge. Her deep brown eyes glinted, reflecting the thirst for adventure mixing with apprehension. She sidled closer, a fine line of anxiety etched on her face despite her bravado. The shadows of her past filled the air like an electric hum, a reminder of their recent loss, their mother swept away by the flood. "Always," Scarface replied, the syllables drenched in the resolve he felt. But beneath the surface, a tremor of doubt coursed through him. What if he failed them too? As the brothers prepared, Sikio and Marani playfully jostled and teased each other, a sharp contrast to Scarface's internal struggle. Marani, his coat slightly ruffled from a scuffle, stood tall, letting out a thunderous roar. "Last one to the waterhole gets the scraps," he taunted, puffing up his chest. Sikio smirked, his eyes narrowing with mischief. "Not if you trip over your own paws first." Unnoticed among the frolic was Hunter, lurking at the edge, a quiet frown creasing his brow. He was always the thinker, the strategist, and his mind was churning like the waters that had claimed their mother. The hunt had become more than just sustenance. It was also a test of loyalty, of choosing whom to trust. "Are you coming, Hunter?" Marani's voice cut through, a friendly yet demanding tone. "Or are you too busy pondering the meaning of life?" Hunter straightened, a spark igniting. "It's not just a hunt, it's about honor. We need to show the others that we are stronger than the past." Ulani glanced at him, an unspoken understanding flickering in the air. "What if this hunt leads us into danger instead?" she interjected, her brow furrowing. She knew the repercussions of failure, losing everything, including each other. Scarface caught her eye, sensing her fears mirror his. "Danger is part of it," Scarface reassured her with a nod, even as uncertainty gnawed at his heart. His instincts urged him to approach responsibility with a vision, but the pressure mounted in his chest like a caged beast. Sikio rallied the group, playful energy swirling around him like the breeze. "Let's find some easy prey. Nothing too risky. Maybe a gazelle or two?" The excitement of the hunt began to eclipse the undercurrents of tension, their unity forged in the thrill of the chase. Suddenly, a chilling howl erupted from beyond the grasslands, a low, haunting sound that set the hairs on Scarface's neck on end. "Hyenas," he murmured, a grim realization settling deep in his gut. They were near the neighboring pack's territory, a volatile indication that the hunt could easily turn deadly. But Marani laughed dismissively. "They won't bother us today, not with Scarface leading us." He moved forward, confidence bubbling over, but Scarface felt the weight of every eye on him. Would his brothers rally, or would they falter when the time came? Ulani stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Scarface, if you're not ready—" "I am ready," he snapped, then softened his tone. "I have to be." With the taste of tension hanging in the air, Scarface led the charge, the pride surging forward with footsteps like thunder. At that moment, all his fears vanished into the horizon as the chase began. This was his trial, not just as a leader, but as a brother. The path ahead lay hidden in chaos, but the hunt was on, and Scarface would fight to uphold their legacy. Little did he know, betrayal awaited in the shadows and the true test of his leadership would soon follow. "Just remember," Hunter murmured, catching up with Scarface, "it's not just about strength, it's about wisdom." A spark ignited in Scarface's heart, fueled by the fervor of his brothers and the fiery bond they shared. As he sprinted into the golden expanse, every sense heightened. He felt one thing: today would be pivotal. Scene 38, The Last Stand. The sun dipped low over the horizon, painting the vast savanna in shades of ember and gold. A heavy stillness hung in the air, thick with unspoken fears and the scent of impending rain. Scarface stood at the edge of their territory, his dark mane ruffled by the breeze as he scanned the horizon for any sign of movement. A distant rumble echoed in the clouds, a curtain of storm brewing above them, mirroring the turmoil within. "Brother, we need to make a move," Sikio urged, his sharp gaze darting toward the horizon. "We can't let them take our land without a fight." "Calm yourself, Sikio," Marani replied, his calm demeanor contrasting sharply with Sikio's agitation. "Patience is key. We wait for the right moment." Yet, beneath his placid exterior, Marani's claws dug into the earth, betraying his own tension. Ulani Mwanga, perched nearby, flicked her tail, threading her own anxiety through the conversation. "The longer we wait, the more prepared they become. We must strike hard and fast, show them we won't back down." The slight tremor in her voice hinted at her struggle to balance strength and vulnerability. Scarface's thoughts churned. He sensed the fear among his brothers, and it gnawed at him like a gnawing hyena. Despite his outward bravado, shadows danced at the edges of his mind, whispering the fears he kept buried deep within. "We fight for our home, for our mother's memory," Scarface declared, his voice carrying the weight of their shared loss. Suddenly the silence shattered as a piercing roar split the air. The rival lion Pride, led by the cunning and ruthless Mosey, emerged from the tall grass. Their numbers were overwhelming, but Scarface felt a surge of defiance blossom in his chest. He had witnessed the brutality of the wilderness, and today would be a defining moment. "Brothers!" Scarface called, his voice a thunderclap in the tense air. He locked eyes with each of them, drawing strength from their unspoken bonds. "Now is our chance. We need to reclaim what is ours." The sky darkened as storm clouds rolled in, and a sudden gust shook the grass. A crack of lightning lit up the horizon. The chaos had begun. The musketeers surged forward, propelled by adrenaline and raw determination. Scarface barreled into the throng of rival lions, his powerful muscles propelling him like a runaway train. With a swift swipe of his paw, he connected with a rival's flank. The impact reverberated through the air as the rival yelped in pain, stumbling before regrouping for a counterattack. Sikio cornered another adversary, his strength palpable as he wrestled for dominance. "You won't take our home," he roared, and with a mighty thrust, he toppled his opponent. Marani, ever the tactician, spotted an opening. "Ulani, flank left!" "Keep them off balance," he commanded, knowing her agility would be their secret weapon. She darted into the fray, her movements a blur, dodging gnarled claws and snapping jaws. In the heat of battle, emotions flared. "Why didn't you believe in us sooner?" Sikio shouted to Scarface, fatigue edging his words as he snapped at a rival lion attempting to close in on Scarface. "You've been so consumed by your fears." That pierced Scarface deeply. He snarled back, "Because I couldn't bear to lose any of you. I thought if I kept us safe, I wouldn't have to face being alone again." Regaining his footing, Sikio settled into a stance of resolve, the air thick with the scent of dirt and sweat. "We are brothers. We fight together, or we fall together." As thunder rumbled, the sound mingled with their roars, creating an orchestra of defiance. Every swipe, every tangled body was more than a fight. It was a statement. The storm burst open, sheets of rain pouring down, drenching them in nature's raw fury, sealing their resolve. The battle raged on, fierce and chaotic, but amid the clashing bodies and screams, a sense of unity emerged. Scarface felt something shift within him, a deeper understanding of what brotherhood meant. It was not only about protection, but about facing the storm together, embracing the fear, the pain, and the sheer defiance of their existence. Amidst the chaos, the outcome was uncertain, but one truth remained. As long as they stood together, their spirit would endure. Together, brothers, Scarface shouted as he stood back to back with Sikio, a decisive moment crystallizing their bond. The fray continued, clawing at the edges of the night, but Scarface knew, in that moment, they were unstoppable. Scene 39. Victory and Sacrifice. In the stillness of dawn, where shadows lingered like hesitant memories, Scarface crouched low on a rocky outcrop overlooking the vast expanse of the Maasai Mara. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and freshly cut grass, remnants of the night's rain mingling with the musty aroma of cooling flesh. The dawn broke gracefully, spilling gold and rose across the horizon. Yet, the victory felt hollow. His jaw clenched, and he pushed down the wave of weariness that threatened to overwhelm him. Mornings like this reverberated with both triumph and loss. Where once there had been joy in the hunt, now only a keen awareness of the scars remained, a reality painted vividly in the memories of what had been sacrificed. Behind him, the chirps of anxious birds echoed like whispers of the past. Why do we linger? Ulani Mwanga, watching from a lower rise, questioned. She shifted, eyes narrowing slightly as a breeze ruffled her tawny coat. The territory is ours now. Scarface turned, meeting her gaze head-on. Because mourning is as crucial as victory, he asserted, taking a step forward, his movements a blend of grace and restrained power. We honor what we have lost, especially them. Each word dripped with gravity. The hovering presence of Marani and the others felt tangible. Honor won't bring them back, Scarface, Ulani shot back, her body language taut, eyes glimmering with defiance. You think they care about our grief now? The wild doesn't stop for our feelings, you know. We should be preparing for what's next. Sikio ambled up behind Scarface, a towering figure with a voice rumbling deep in his throat. Ulani's right, said Sikio, his tone grounded but edged with frustration. Every moment we waste is a risk. There could be another pride looking to reclaim what we've taken, all of those who fell. He trailed off, a clenched paw digging into the earth, stirring dust like the ghosts of their departed. Scarface felt a sharp twist of anxiety at the edge of regret, his heart thumping in his chest. We haven't taken anything without profound losses. He knew jealousy simmered beneath the surface. He would not let it ignite into flame. Our brothers didn't fall so that we would merely rush forward. I want them to see us take what is ours, Ulani pressed, eyes steelier than before. If we stand here clinging to grief, they'll see us weak. In a fluid motion, Scarface shook his mane defiantly. Strength does not lie in ignorance of pain. We have to learn to carry them with us, not just forget, he insisted. But even as he asserted this, a part of him questioned, could he truly balance the weight of his brother's memories against the demands of the present? The discussion was abruptly interrupted as Hunter, the wild spark among them, burst onto the scene, panting and almost stumbling over his own paws. There's movement near the river. A stranger went past, and he's been watching us. His excitement was infectious, yet it hung heavy with the tension of an impending threat. Scarface exchanged glances with Ulani and Sikio. Then we prepare, he affirmed, muscles tensing as anticipation thrummed through him. He was ready, but would his brothers and their allies be? They were not yet whole, even if the territory was theirs now. I don't want to risk everything on a mere stranger, Ulani warned, an underlying desperation seeping into her voice. We could take this pause, regroup, be stronger than we've ever been. We can't let fear dictate our strength, Scarface interjected sharply, stepping towards her. They've already seen our scars. We fight to reclaim our pride. As he moved closer, Ulani's breathing steadied, their collective tension simmering down to an unspoken agreement. Scarface understood that their bond was upheaval and harmony entwined, a dance as delicate as it was fierce. You raise a good point, Ulani said, her expression softening, the fire within her slowly transforming into a fierce loyalty. But we must be smart about it. Victories should not come at the cost of us all. With a nod, Scarface replied, Together, we emerge. None of us should walk through this alone. We fight beside their memories. Every roar, every step must echo who we've lost, who we're meant to be. Sikio, now feeling the weight of their alliance strengthen, rumbled in agreement. Then let's honor them, as brothers. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows that faded into the golden light. As the brothers gathered, they understood. Loss, victory, sacrifice. It was all part of the wild's intricate tapestry. and together they would carve out their place in it. A new dawn. The first light of dawn spilled like liquid gold across the Maasai Mara, bathing everything in a soft glow. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, the remnants of last night's rainfall lingering like a memory. Scarface stood at the edge of a rocky outcrop, the wind carrying whispers of a new beginning. Below, the vast landscape stretched endlessly, bushes rustled, and the distant call of a lone ostrich punctuated the serene morning. Today felt different. A heavy sense of responsibility weighed on his shoulders, yet there was a spark of hope igniting deep within. He clenched his jaw, gazing across the horizon as if trying to peer through the fog of uncertainty that clung to his heart. His brothers, Sikio, Morani, and Hunter, emerged one by one behind him, their presence grounding him. "Even after everything, the sun still decides to rise," Morani said with a half smile, licking his paw with an easy grace that belied the scars he bore from their many battles. "I could get used to this quiet." "It won't last," Sikio replied, casting sharp eyes toward the distant trees, their canopies swaying in the light breeze. "With peace comes unpredictability. We must be vigilant." Scarface turned, his voice low yet firm. "Unity is our strength now. We face the storm together. We'll face whatever comes next, just as we did before." He locked eyes with each of his brothers, lingering just a moment longer on Ulani Mwanga, who had positioned herself at the periphery. The sense of being on the brink of something monumental hung in the air. Ulani, 2 years strong and filled with spirit, stepped forward. "Do you remember the floods? How we struggled to stay alive?" Her voice was calm, but the edge of her nostalgia hinted at unspoken fears. "Those choices shaped us. They taught us the importance of looking out for each other." "Why dwell on the past?" Hunter interrupted, his brow furrowing. "Let's focus on what lies ahead." Hunter, ever pragmatic, was the first to suggest and volunteer solutions, pushing the group towards action like a swift river carving through the land. "That past made us who we are, Hunter," Ulani challenged, her gaze steady on him. "Every mark, every scar tells a story we shouldn't forget." As the brothers exchanged glances, the air crackled with unvoiced tensions. Scarface felt the weight of their shared journey. The scars of combat were etched deep into their souls, each victory and loss carved sharper than the last. He took a deep breath, letting the aroma of wet grass wash over him. "Perhaps it's time to forge new tales," Scarface finally said, the words resonating across the valley. He glanced up, momentarily lost in the infinite blue above. "We have a chance to lead beyond our blood, to protect not only ourselves but the others who rely on us." "And if they abandon us at the first sign of trouble?" Sikio interjected sharply, concern flickering across his face. "We risk everything." A tense silence fell. Scarface's heart raced, aware of the hidden fears rippling beneath the surface, much like the hidden streams that brazenly snaked through the savannah. Before anyone could respond, a rustle in the bushes nearby disrupted the moment. The musketeers turned instinctively, aligning their bodies in a defensive formation. Emerging from the shadows were just a couple of small herd animals, oblivious to the tension, their quest for food translating into sound and movement that filled the quiet morning. Scarface relaxed, laughter bubbling in his throat. "I thought we had another fight on our paws," he chuckled, shaking his mane free of tension. Morani snickered. "I'd rather face a charging bull than sit through another what-if conversation." The laughter that followed brightened the air, though beneath the surface, concern still churned. Scarface shot Ulani a knowing glance, and she smiled back, both aware that moments of levity were essential even amidst uncertainty. A pang of longing filled Scarface's heart. The dawn encapsulated both threat and promise. Together, they were no longer just survivors. They were warriors, determined to weave their story into the fabric of the wild. "Whatever the future holds, we rise together," Scarface declared, his voice steady and strong. The sun hid just below the horizon, ready to break forth, a symbol of their shared resilience. And so, with a newfound resolve, the brothers turned towards the light, stepping forward into the day's possibilities. For the wild is a canvas, waiting for their brushstrokes to turn it into a masterpiece of survival and brotherhood.